On today's episode of You Asked, what's the best TV under $800 for watching movies? How to improve your sports viewing experience? And speaking of sports, why is everyone so into 4K TVs when most sports aren't even broadcast in 4K? Welcome back to the channel, everyone. This is You Asked, the show where we answer your tech questions. If you've got something you want to know, send your question to youasked@digitaltrends.com. And don't forget to tune into the show to see if your question has been selected. Our first question comes from the username rents3times. Excellent advice. The question is also entertaining. It reads, why TF, I trust y'all know what that means, are we selling and buying all of these 4K TVs? Hell, there are even 8K TVs, and we can't even watch sports in that resolution. Well, there are a few levels to the answer of that question. The first is pretty simple. TVs aren't just meant for sports. And trust me, as a former sports reporter, it's hard to believe, I know. Anyway, most sports are not broadcast in 4K. Occasionally, you'll get championship events or big games that way though, sometimes even in HDR if it's an HLG, hybrid log gamma broadcast. But the reason you still may want a 4K TV for sports is because of how far we've come with upscaling technology. Premium TVs especially can take a 1080 Full HD signal and cleanly bring it up to fit your 4K TV and look very good in the process. As for 8K, well, that's where I tend to agree with you a little bit more. You're not only asking the TV to do a lot more lifting for low resolution content, but there's also not much that's mastered for 8K output. And there's a whole rabbit hole to go down there. Is nothing made for 8K viewing because there aren't many affordable options for viewing 8K content? Or is the lack of options for 8K viewing because not much 8K content is being created? We don't need to go any further into that, but the real answer to your question to why we're selling and buying all these 4K TVs is because many movies and shows for theatrical release and streaming services are mastered in 4K. So while most sports viewers could probably be just fine with a big, bright 4K TV, of which there are plenty, I think even more people are interested in everything from your above average 4K TV to a lot of the premium high-end 4K TVs that we discuss on this channel, because they use them for movies, shows, and gaming, which is also available in 4K. And I'll add that if you haven't yet experienced viewing a 4K TV because you think it's unnecessary, you're overdue to check one out, especially with some of the really good ones that are a lot more affordable these days. Zane Walls 8596, who has our next question, is exactly the type of TV consumer I was just talking about. They say, I want to know which 65-inch TV would you buy today for home theater and watching mainly football, but other sports as well. I have an LG C8 right now, and it still looks good, but when I'm watching a football game and a pass is thrown long, you can't see the ball until it gets to the receiver. Hey Zane, just checking first and foremost, you're not a Jets or Dolphins fan, are you? Because I don't think that ball actually makes it to the receiver. Anyway, thanks for the question. I'll give you a few solid options, but first, I'd recommend checking your LG C8 TV settings, especially those around motion clarity. If you haven't done so already, it's a good idea to experiment and see what works best for you when viewing sports. The C8 also has a black frame insertion mode that can help reduce motion blur and make action clearer when watching sports. If you find that helps and can keep some money in your pocket by not buying a new TV, great. But if you do still want to upgrade, there are some great options to consider. Since it sounds like you're a fan of LG and what they do with OLED TVs, you should definitely check out the C5, their middle tier OLED, for lack of a better term. It's a step up from the budget-friendly B5, but doesn't pack all the latest panel tech, color, and brightness of the G5. As an OLED TV, like the C8, though obviously newer, it handles motion very well. Again, I just lean that way for you because you already have an LG OLED TV. But I'd also say the Samsung S90F is another great OLED option in that same price range. Artless Diamond Media, in a response to a video about the Hisense U8N, asks, do you think this is the best $800 TV for movies? The answer mainly depends on the size of TV you're going for. If a 55-inch TV will suffice, the Hisense U8QG, the newer model, at its sale price of $800 would be my choice. It's just a little bit better in terms of contrast, and it's got a USB-C DisplayPort if that's something you can take advantage of. Otherwise, if you can still find the 65-inch U8N in stock, it probably does go for around $800 and would be an excellent choice for movies. If it's not still in stock, there are some other good options, notably the U7 V QG and TCL QM7K that aren't currently selling as low as $800, but I'd imagine they get pretty close to that price in the next month or two with holiday sales. Also, check out our recent video on the best TVs under $1,000, since it goes a little bit deeper into some of the other options and sizes available right now. Finally, and I dropped the ball a bit on this last question because it either came from a YouTube comment or the You Asked email inbox, but I can't track down exactly where it did come from and didn't remember to note who sent it, but it reads, I have to buy a new TV for a living room and I want something with good quality but not so expensive. Do you think a 55-inch Hisense U7Q has good quality? And is 55 inches big enough to enjoy it? Yes, the Hisense U7Q is an excellent quality TV and would go great in any living room. My brother-in-law, in fact, has the older model, the U7N, and we watch movies at his place all the time. It checks all the boxes you'd want for a less expensive model that still delivers in terms of picture quality. So yeah, the U7Q has that covered. I also think 55 inches is a solid size as long as that makes sense for you and your budget. 65 inches is the best selling size, and I think it's because it's that perfect blend of being big enough to be immersive in the average living room, but also not obnoxiously big. So my advice would be to go 65 inches if you can, but if not, 55 will do just fine. And at least to my knowledge, there's no major difference between sizes. Both use a VA panel to help boost contrast, with the only change in the backlight being to the number of dimming zones. But that's expected with TVs of different sizes. That's gonna do it for this week. Holler at me in the comments if you submitted that last question and I failed to get your name in. Sorry again. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you again soon. Elevate your smartphone with the Digital Trends app bundle. 17 premium apps in one plan. From productivity to entertainment, it's all here. Start your free trial today by clicking the link in the description.